Greetings everyone, my name is Gigi and this is Let's Build, wherein I build a Lego set, time to different media, and talk about the facts concerning the topic of the build. Today's build is the Lego Disney Stitch versus Disney's Lilo and Stitch for the Game Boy Advanced. The footage I'm using for this game is for science, educational, and research purposes. My content is transformative and protected under fair use. All footage is time-lapse with commentary. I apologize in advance for pronouncing names and/or places incorrectly. Spoilers ahead for Lilo and Stitch. You have been warned. Specifications of the Lego set. Appeal to older kids and Lilo and Stitch fans aged 8 and up with this Lego Disney Stitch buildable play and display set featuring a Stitch character. The incorrigible extraterrestrial from the hit Disney movie, dressed in a Hawaiian shirt, has movable ears and a turning head, a buildable ice cream cone that the character can hold and a buildable flower that can be added or removed. This kids building kit looks great on display in any room and makes a fun Disney gift idea for older children and movie lovers as they set up the buildable character. Kids and grown-up fans alike will appreciate the details in a building toy that lets them build and play with the iconic character together. Kids also enjoy an easy and intuitive building adventure with the Lego Builder app, where they can zoom in and rotate the models in 3D, save sets, and track their progress. Disney's Lilo and Stitch building set for kids. The buildable Lego Disney Stitch for girls and boys aged 9 and up that sparks imagination as kids build the model, then play with and display it afterwards. The Disney Stitch character. This creative Lego building set features a displayable model of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, a buildable ice cream cone, and a flower that can be used to decorate the character. Moving parts. The buildable Stitch model includes ears that can move up and down, and a turning head with space for the decorative flower, plus a hand that can hold the brick-built ice cream cone. Fun display. Create Stitch in his Hawaiian shirt, decorate him with an ice cream cone and flower, move his head and ears into different positions to show new expressions, then set him up on display. This 730-piece play and display set features a buildable character standing over 8 inches tall. The instruction booklet goes right into the build without any fanfare. Stitch, originally named Experiment 626, is one of the titular protagonists of the Lilo and Stitch franchise. He is an illegal genetic experiment created by the mad scientist Dr. Jumba Jookiba, designed to be abnormally strong, virtually indestructible, and super intelligent. Stitch was built with the purpose of spreading chaos and misery across the universe. His intended function was challenged by his developed relationship with a young orphan named Lilo, who adopted Stitch in her ʻohana. Background. Chris Sanders first created the character of Stitch in 1985 for a planned children's book that never came to be. Years later, in 1997, when the production on Mulan was currently wrapping up, he had the opportunity to pitch a film version of his planned story, beginning the development of the film. In early drafts, Stitch was originally slated to have landed in Kansas, but the setting was changed to Hawaii since the location would provide a greater degree of isolation from large cities, and the islands were among some of Chris Sanders' favorite places. Also, the character himself started as an intergalactic gangster rather than a recently created genetic monster. In these early drafts, his gang, including the ex-gang member Jumba, would have been the ones hired by the Galactic Federation to hunt him down. Chris Sanders's Lilo and Stitch pitch booklet provides additional insights of Stitch's intergalactic gangster iteration. He and his band were guilty of 12,000 cases of hooliganism, in addition of attempts to enslave entire planets, which made them extremely dangerous, so much that a bounty hunter had been assigned to take him out upon his escape to Earth, with Pleakley accompanying him. Note that in this booklet, Jumba is a bounty hunter and lone wolf, instead of a former member of Stitch's gang. He shares some of his finalized and 2025 remake versions' powers, such as limited shape-shifting, switching between alien and Earth dog form, and superhuman attributes. This Stitch's calculative and technical intellect are not to be underestimated, having managed to wire a stolen police radio so that it can be used to contact his fellow gang members across solar systems, tinkered with Lilo's dolls into improvised bombs, Stitch turning Scrump into a bomb against Jumba with Lilo's help in the first film indirectly alludes to this, and constructed a robot out of the Pelikai family's household objects, programmed to build him and his gang an army of battle-capable robots made of available materials in Kokoua Town's trash dump in order to take over the planet. As expected from being more malicious, he's less keen with the idea of posing as Lilo's pet dog, let alone bonding with her. His change to being better is facilitated by her rescuing him from falling into the volcano because of Jumba and Pelikai's ambush, and later realization of his conquest won't bode well to Lilo's well-being as soon as his gang commences their plan after sending her away when she outlived her usefulness. Personality. Throughout the course of the entire Lilo and Stitch franchise, Stitch is depicted as a character who is unlikable to many people except Lilo. On rare occasions, even she falls out with him, most notably in Lilo and Stitch 2, where she declares that he is bad and will always be bad, after he has an uncontrollable glitch attack. Due to his destructive and temperamental behavior, it is interesting to note that individuals who are averse to Stitch, such as Myrtle Edmonds, Gantu, and Dr. Hamstervale, describe him as ugly and deformed, while those who do love him, like Lilo, Nani, and Jumba, describe him as cute and fluffy. This reflects the basic idea behind Stitch and his cousins, that counters what societal standards are for good physical appearance. Despite having odd features like an extra pair of arms, misshapen head, or unusual coloring, Stitch and his kin prove that you don't have to look normal to fit in. Whether Stitch is displayed in his true alien form, complete with an extra set of arms, antennae, and spikes on his back, or in his dog form, the one the audience is accustomed to seeing, sans the aforementioned features, his overall cuteness belies his extremely aggressive and destructive personality. This is especially apparent during and immediately after his escape from the Galactic Federation. He proves to be a complex character as he comes to terms with his own good and bad levels and struggles to find his place in the world. According to his creator Jumba, Stitch is a machine who was made without a greater purpose other than to destroy. The fact that he becomes trapped on the island of Kauai, which has no large cities, he has more time to contemplate and reflect on alternative occupations. Although Stitch seeks to destroy because of his innate programming, he has a personality of his own, a fact that only Lilo and Jumba truly understand, and shows that he has the will and ability to make the choice to not follow his original design. In comparison to his super strength and computer-like intelligence, Stitch is emotionally fragile, having almost like a child having a tantrum at times. Lilo relates to this and believes a couple of main reasons for his naughtiness is because of some past trauma and receiving little to no understanding or sympathy from others. Of course, Stitch eventually becomes much more well-meaning after his betterment, but is frequently unable to control all of his impulses toward antisocial actions. Fortunately for him, Lilo, and later Reuben and Angel, is always there to support him, and he returns to her support willingly. There is a common misconception from viewers that Lilo is dependent on Stitch for protection and support. If anything, it is Stitch who is more dependent on Lilo. Despite her having her own troubles to contend with, Lilo makes every effort to help Stitch in life, and as the story progresses, he becomes more self-conscious and capable of making the right decisions. By the end of the series, Stitch has friends, family, loved ones, and a purpose worth believing in. Stitch is prone to having temper tantrums when things do not go as well as he hopes. He also gets easily angered by inanimate objects, especially the toaster. After it popped a toast in his face once, he has since beaten the toaster and juiced it at least twice. Despite these tantrums, Stitch can sometimes display a little common sense and be more mature than Lilo. For instance, he occasionally discovers when Lilo goes too far using other experiments for her own personal gain. Examples were seen in her schemes involving Sprout, Slugger, Checkers, Marfolomule, and PJ, believing it to be very selfish of her. Physical appearance. Designed by his voice actor Chris Sanders, Stitch is a blue alien genetic creation standing about 3 feet tall. He strongly resembles a koala or a French bulldog in his disguised form, and is referred to as both throughout the franchise, especially since humans, with the exception of Lilo, Nani, Cobra, and David, are completely oblivious to the fact that he is an alien. He has sharp teeth inside his mouth along with a long pink tongue. A short, stumpy tail cuts out from his rear. He has a limited ability to change his physical appearance, only able to retract his second set of arms, his antennae, and the 3 spines on his back and move them into his body. When Stitch was first introduced by Jumba, and during his time as a criminal, he has donned a red spacesuit with an upside-down triangle consisting of a red border and yellow center on his chest. Similar patches adorned the elbows of the sleeves, and square patches consisting of a dark red border with an orange center showed on each of his legs. He also wore a black belt with crimson square buckle, and his cuffs, anklets, and collar were also black. The suit survived when he crashed on Earth, but it was torn to pieces when he was run over by a convoy of trucks. When Stitch dresses up as Elvis Presley, he wore a sparkly white jumpsuit with a white belt and cape and black wig, the same style as Elvis's. When Stitch was the captain of the BRB 9000, he donned a black spacesuit similar to that of Gantu's, which consisted of a black shirt with thick red brims on the shoulders. Unlike Gantu's tank shirt, this suit features wrist-length sleeves with red cuffs, along with matching vertical linings on both sides of the shirt and trousers. He wore a gray belt with a light gray V on the front, along with a small gray mark on the upper left chest that resembles a teardrop with a black dot in it. The suit was destroyed during his fight with Leroy. powers and abilities. While explaining his creation to the Galactic Council early in the Lilo and Stitch film, Dr. Jumba gives the following rundown of Stitch's powers. He is bulletproof, fireproof, shockproof, and can think faster than a supercomputer. He can also see in the dark and can move objects 3,000 times his size. His only instinct? To destroy everything he touches. Feral mind. Temporarily. In the original Lilo and Stitch film, Jumba claimed that Stitch's destructive tendency was taking effect, and that he would be irresistibly drawn to large cities, to back up sewers, reverse street signs, and steal everyone's left shoe. Superhuman durability or dense body tissue. Even though we rarely see Stitch shot up with a bullet, he does survive the crash of his spaceship without even a scratch, and is only briefly stunned by a fall of several thousand feet, and has to be run over by 3 tractor-trailers in succession to be knocked out. Fireproof skin. He drives a tanker truck of gasoline into a volcano and ends up only a little singed from the resulting explosion. Bulletproof skin. Rounds fired from plasma guns seem to cause him some discomfort, although he can hold the material in his hands long enough to throw the plasma back at his enemies. Shockproof. He has some resistance to electricity since he was able to take a direct electrical attack from Sparky, quickly recovering from it. However, he can still feel pain from these types of shocks despite his immunity to it. Hypercognition. Thinking faster than a supercomputer is harder to quantify, but he does escape from captivity fairly ingeniously. Builds a model of San Francisco after only glancing at a postcard, grabs a crossword puzzle from the table and finishes it in about 7 seconds, builds a bomb out of a plasma bolt, a doll, and a roller skate, creates a bucking bronco out of a toaster, vacuum cleaner, and a lamp, reads aloud a description of a local museum's display, showing he is able to understand written language at a remarkable speed, manipulates his moral compass by using a human being as a shield in Jumba and Bleakley's presence, and generally picks up quickly on what is happening around him. Lingual intuition. Stitch can converse fluently in over 20 different languages, but prefers Tagalog, his native language. Parallel computing. He is an information repository containing an internal dictionary, thesaurus, encyclopedia, and experiment catalog, and records every moment of his life in a reserved portion of his brain that can theoretically store up to 300 PB. Instrument player. He is also skilled at playing musical instruments, most notably the ukulele, thanks to his quick learning. Vehicle intuition. Stitch can drive any sort of vehicle from something as simple as a tricycle to complex machinery like intergalactic spaceships. Superhuman strength. His ability to lift objects 3,000 times his own size and weight is seen several times throughout the franchise, including incidents where he picks up a descending blasted door, hits Dr. Jumba with a thrown Volkswagen Beetle, shouting gleefully, "Blue punch buggy! No punch back!" and stops an 18-wheeled tanker of gasoline dead in its tracks. The reason why Stitch can lift 3,000 times his own weight, even though he has small arms, is because his muscles contain excessively compressed amounts of myofibril within one muscle cell. This muscular arrangement makes Stitch's muscles contract 1,000 times faster than a human's, making him much, much more powerful. The ability is sometimes joked about later in the series, for example in Stitch, the movie, when Hamsterville is has Stitch physically restrained for a cloning experiment. Stitch's restraints counter his strength at, as Hamster Vale loudly declares, to 3,001 times Stitch's weight, though he later admits it was intended as a joke. This was further validated in Lilo and Stitch, the series, episode Swirly, when Gantu correctly guessed that Stitch cannot lift even 1 ounce more than 3,000 times his size when he adds a small ticket to the given load. Quadrupedalism. Stitch can run and walk on all fours in quadrupedal manner, similar to a dog. Wall crawling. While Stitch's claws are very strong, the pads on his hands and feet can secrete a sticky substance, allowing him to scale and adhere to almost any surface, such as buildings and walls. He can also stand on walls and ceilings. Spherical form. His skeletal system is very flexible, allowing him to put his feet into his mouth and roll like a ball. This allows him to squeeze through tight spaces. Superhuman speed. Stitch can move and run faster as shown when moving past Lilo and Pleakley while carrying Jumba during a bet made with Lilo to catch experiments 501 Yin and 502 Yang, and hurrying from Gantu's ship back to the fundraiser while carrying Lilo. His speed is also usually used when he's in his spherical form. When Stitch runs, his speed doesn't automatically increase and can only achieve this by putting effort into his muscles. Superhuman jump. Stitch's legs are small, but thanks to the muscle advancements, are powerful enough to enable him to jump several feet into the air. Superhuman agility. Stitch has extraordinarily greater agility, dexterity, balance, and body coordination, capable of doing feats far beyond an acrobat, such as leaping far distances, jumping from wall to wall, swinging from vines, and standing on branches, wires, and narrow platforms. He is also capable of standing and walking on his paws. The reason is Stitch has a very flexible skeletal system that allows him to squeeze through tight spaces. Superhuman stamina. Stitch's advanced musculature produces fewer fatigue toxins, allowing him to exert himself for extended periods of time. Stitch can still fight, run, and even eat without tiring out. Even when hunting for other experiments, he would hunt them for an entire day until night. Electromagnetic vision. Stitch's eyes can magnify objects and pick up various forms of light, filtering out one eye or the other if necessary. Using normal vision, his eyes are glossy, black, and also magnify his vision for better visibility. Night vision. When activated, Stitch's eyes turn green, permitting him to see clearly at night or in dark places. Infrared vision. When activated, Stitch's eyes turn red, permitting him to locate targets by their body heat. He most notably uses this in Houdini to track the titular experiment who can turn things, including himself, invisible. Audio amplifier. He can act as an audio amplifier, radio, and/or microphone, illustrated when he uses his claw as the needle on a record player and plays music through his open mouth like a sound horn. Enhanced hearing and smell. He has a acute sense of smell and hearing. Concept designs detailing Stitch's anatomy describe this sensory filaments of his nose being so dense and extensive that, if unraveled, could blanket the earth. While listening for Jumba and Pleakley, who were hiding on a hill outside the dog shelter, he was able to detect Pleakley speaking at a whisper. Skilled hand-to-hand combat. He is dexterously skilled in hand-to-hand combat, whether using all 4 arms or just 2. Marksmanship. He is also dexterously skilled in marksmanship, using plasma blasters, even loaded with net to capture experiments. Venomous spines. In anatomy drawings of Stitch from the film's production, his spines are described as being poisonous and connected to venom sacs in his spinal cord. Shape-shifting. In his alien form, he has 3 spines on his back, 2 antennae on his head, an extra pair of arms. However, he is able to retract all of these extra features to look more like a dog while on Earth, and used this to become Lilo's pet. Semi-immortality. Stitch cannot age. When Skip flashed 10 years ahead, he did not age whatsoever, but for some reason, Baby Fire's powder regressed him into an infant. This could simply mean that he stops aging once he is physically mature. Vacuum adaptation. Along with the rest of his cousins, Stitch can survive in the vacuum of space due to being a genetic alien. Power immunity. Stitch has some resistance, but not total immunity to the other experiments' powers. He is shown to be immune to some of the experiments' powers, such as Angel's siren song and Checkers' hypnosis, since Stitch was created after them. While Stitch was put to sleep by Drowsy, he was able to wake up on his own without the need to be sprayed with water. Weaknesses. Program limits. Stitch's primary weaknesses lie in his programming. Water. Stitch's greatest weakness is his inability to float, let alone swim, in water due to his molecular structure being much denser than the average human or animal. This causes him to instantly sink like a stone. Stitch originally had an instinctive aquaphobia, which was used against him by Spooky, but he was able to overcome it thanks to Lilo's influence. Glitch. In Stitch Has a Glitch, it is revealed that Stitch's molecules were not fully charged after his creation, which is proven to be very deadly once his molecules run out of power. As a result, Stitch frequently experiences periodic glitches that have him revert to his original destructive programming, basically suffering from a seizure disorder and having nightmares of destroying everything and everyone in his path, including Lilo. However, his glitches were permanently resolved after Lilo's love for him caused him to be fully charged at last. Memory erase from Cresonite. It is shown in Kicks that if Stitch consumes 2 different elements which form to create a particular chemical compound called Cresonite, all of his training skills will be wiped. Eating the rubber of a tennis shoe and palmitoleic acid found in macadamia nut oil together will result in this. Mucus drain. Stitch is 62.7% mucus, which is similar in chemical composition to snootonium. If this is drained from his body, he will become temporarily exhausted from dehydration. Sonic blasts or sensory overload. Another weakness is the fact that his supersensitive hearing can lead to temporary deafness when exposed to sonic blasts, such as Yarp's destructive sound blast. Strength limit. He cannot lift even 1 ounce past the 3,000 times his weight limit. Experiments powers. While Stitch is immune to Angel and Checkers' powers since he was created after them, there are some experiments whose powers he is vulnerable to, such as Amnesio, Baby Fire, Spike, Bugby, Lax, Dupe, French Fry, Swapper, Swirly, and Houdini. Stitch can also be put to sleep by Drowsy, but he was able to wake himself up without being needed. But he was able to wake up on his own without the need to be sprayed with water. Blades or durability limit. While Stitch can withstand plasma bolts, being eaten, and even the most hazardous environments, it is implied that Stitch isn't resistant to bladed objects. This is shown when Stitch was pierced by a sample extractor and able to take out his blood. Trash ingestion. If Stitch consumes vast amounts of trash, he will become incredibly sick, as shown in Plute. He first gets sick to his stomach and sneezes. Then his fur turns yellow, his tongue becomes orange, and his nose turns red. Another symptom is that with each sneeze, an arm grows from a random area of his body. Stitch's garbage-eating illness was theorized as a rare space disease by Jumba. Stitch was temporarily cured when he drank a barrel of orange juice and took medicine from an eyedropper, though it was only for a few seconds. When he sneezed again, he developed yellow stripes and grew legs instead. The only permanent cure is inhaling steam from a vaporizer. Sauerkraut. According to Lilo, Stitch is apparently allergic to sauerkraut. However, it was never shown what kind of allergic reaction he has to the sauerkraut, or if he even actually has an allergy to it. Pollen. It is shown in Stitch and I that if Stitch smells flowers, he will sneeze. Disney's Lilo and Stitch is a 2002 side-scrolling platform video game developed by Digital Eclipse for the Game Boy Advance. Based on the Disney animated film Lilo and Stitch, it was first released in North America on June 7, 2002 by Disney Interactive, with Ubisoft publishing the game in Europe on October 4, 2002. Gameplay. The game takes place at an unknown point in time after the original film. An extraterrestrial bounty hunter kidnaps Lilo and brings her aboard the spaceship laboratory of a robotic, mosquito-like alien named Dr. Pestis, who plans to use her as food for his genetically modified mosquito army. Stitch must go out into space to rescue Lilo and defeat Dr. Pestis. In most levels, the player can take control of a four-armed, plasma blaster-wielding Stitch who must run and gun his way past enemies and various other obstacles to complete the level. He can also acquire special ammunition for his plasma blasters that allow him to fire more powerful plasma blasts, and can acquire pineapple bombs to throw at enemies. In a couple puzzle platform-styled levels, the player takes control of Lilo as she sneaks around a spaceship to find a way to escape and contact Stitch. In a couple of tube shooter-styled segments, Stitch must fly a spaceship to reach the next level, shooting down other enemy ships and dodging obstacles along the way. Development. According to a 2023 interview with the game's director and present-day Digital Eclipse president, Mike Micah, Digital Eclipse has developed so many licensed games for Disney and built up enough trust between them that close to the Lilo and Stitch's release that Disney Interactive stopped paying attention to Digital Eclipse. When Disney Interactive commissioned Digital Eclipse for a Lilo and Stitch game, the developers decided to make one inspired by SNK's Metal Slug series. Upon seeing the game for themselves, executives at Disney Interactive were shocked at the level of violence and expressed concern that then Disney CEO Michael Eisner would not approve of it. But there was no time left by then to make any changes, as Disney Interactive had to show their upcoming catalog the next day. However, Eisner ended up loving the game, much to the relief of both Disney Interactive and Digital Eclipse, who were called by the former Disney division after the meeting. Lilo and Stitch film directors Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois also sent Digital Eclipse a signed poster thanking them for making the game. The game features references to other video games, including Gyros and Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. Reception. Disney's Lilo and Stitch was met with mostly positive reviews, with critics favorably comparing the game to the Metal Slug series, but criticizing Stitch's inability to shoot while crawling or crouching, and the game's use of the password save system. Critics also expressed concern that the game's high difficulty would frustrate its intended audience of young players. Game Rankings gave the game an aggregated review score of 75.58% out of 100, while Metacritic gave it an aggregated score of 80. From the manual. Stitch, originally created as a genetic military experiment bent on intergalactic mayhem and destruction, is now much better behaved and a welcomed addition to the Hawaiian beach community. Having learned the value of ʻohana, a Hawaiian concept of family and unity, he is now part of an Earth family, which includes Lilo, a happy little Hawaiian girl with an offbeat take on life, and her sister Nani. These days, Hawaii, planet Earth, and the galaxy are at peace. One fine day, Lilo and Stitch were relaxing on the beach. Other tourists and beachgoers are scattered about, enjoying the sun and surf. Except for the occasional mosquito bite, it's just another perfect day in paradise. Stitch is laid back, wearing his shades, catching some rays, and enjoying an umbrella drink, while Lilo creates a remarkable version of Sleeping Beauty's castle in the sand. But all is not as tranquil as it seems. From somewhere far off, they are being watched. Someone, or something, is keeping an eye on them through powerful binoculars. The watcher focuses the high-powered viewers, closing in on a mosquito resting on Lilo's shoulder. The eyes behind the binoculars have acquired their target. Suddenly, two aliens burst onto the scene, throw sand in Stitch's eyes, grab Lilo, and race off into the jungle. Panic ensues. Tourists scatter in a frenzy. By the time Stitch clears his eyes, he discovers that he is the only one left on the beach. Stitch remembers that ʻohana means family, and that no one gets left behind or forgotten. There is only one thing to do. He must rescue Lilo. Stitch gets ready for action. Lilo has been kidnapped and taken, not only off the beach, but off the planet. Stitch must fight his way through all parts of the galaxy to rescue Lilo and defeat the evil Dr. Pestis and his minions. Playing Lilo and Stitch. There are over 12 different levels in Disney's Lilo and Stitch to play, each consisting of numerous challenges and enemies. You'll start the adventure on the beaches of Hawaii and travel through space on a star cruiser to Metropolon, where you'll visit Junkyard Planet, the Mothership, and City Planet until eventually you will have to defeat the evil Dr. Pestis, the Mosquito King. As you progress, the challenges get harder and the enemies get tougher. It's a non-stop race within space for both Lilo and Stitch, using a variety of highly sophisticated intergalactic vehicles as they make their way to defeat Dr. Pestis and save the universe. Stitch's moves. There are different ways for Stitch to defeat Dr. Pestis's minions. Shoot up and diagonally to blast away flying enemies or enemies on high-up ledges. Use your duck ability to dodge alien fire, then stand up and use your guns. Timing is everything. Jumping up and shooting downwards will help you defeat enemies with less chance of getting hurt. It's also a good alternative when you're out of pineapple grenades. Use your pineapple grenades when enemies are hiding behind rocks or atop of ledges. Sometimes a jumping grenade throw gets better distance. Lilo's moves. Lilo has a tough job ahead of her. She has to escape from a huge alien ship with nobody to help her. If Lilo's going to escape from any place, she's going to have to keep a few things in mind. She'll need Scrump's help. Use Scrump to fend off pesky mosquitoes. Try to reach all the switches you can and press the B button when in front of them. Sometimes gates will open and pathways will appear, but they may not always open up right in front of you. Teleporters will help you transport from one part of the level to another in a flash. Try different teleporters to see where they take you. Maybe you can find more switches to activate, or some not too friendly aliens ready to capture you. Keep an eye out for the elevators. Stand on them and press the B button. Don't try to control them, they have the mind of their own. Hide. Disguise yourself by pressing the L button when green tentacle enemies aren't looking. Wait until they pass you and then make a run for it. Sometimes Dr. Pestis's minions are sleeping and will not pay attention if Lilo sneaks by. Hold down the R button and the right or left arrow key to make Lilo sneak. Hide. Again. This time, all you have to do is press the B button when in front of a doorway, which will take you into a safe cabin with windows in it. Use the cabin to run by enemies undetected until you reach the doorway on the other side. Press the B button again to exit the cabin. Star Cruiser controls. You must maneuver the Star Cruiser through space in an attempt to stay intact until you reach the destination point. Along the way, you'll encounter enemy starships and space debris that you must either avoid or destroy. If you're getting hit, keep a lookout for power-ups that will restore your ship. Switch tank controls. Once Stitch has entered the tank, he will be able to use the tank's cannon to shoot up diagonally, down diagonally, jump, and perform spray fire with the R button. Lilo and Stitch piggyback run. Lilo and Stitch are trying to escape from Dr. Pestis. Lilo is on top of Stitch's back since Stitch is the fast one. Stitch cannot shoot or throw grenades, and Lilo cannot hide or sneak. Their only chance is each other. Stitch is fast, but he can't touch the water. He needs Lilo to carry him through it safely. To switch back and forth between them, just press the B button. Don't get stung. Lilo and Stitch dual pod bipedal tank. The ultimate Lilo and Stitch vehicle, fully equipped with the cannon for Stitch. While Lilo's driving, Stitch is taking control of the cannon. He can shoot left, right, up, down, and diagonally. If you happen to see a few power-ups at the top of the screen that you can't reach, tap the A button twice, and this dual-pod bipedal tank will instantly take you to the top of the screen, upside down. I remember how excited I was when Lilo and Stitch was first announced in production for the film. I have a great fondness for the film, and I still have an original movie rental house poster framed under where I display the set. I would have loved an optional build of his 626 alien form with the forearms and back spikes and antennae, but this is still good. I usually play these retro games from memory, but I had forgotten this game entirely. But it still has that classic old school difficulty setting. Total build time, 1 hour, 41 minutes, 26 seconds, which means that you could watch 4.5 episodes of the Lilo and Stitch, the series. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Remember to like, subscribe, share, ring that bell, all the things for the YouTubes. Thank you.